Behind the legendary war epic Zulu lies a trove of untold stories. From shocking production struggles to hidden controversies, these are the secrets that change everything you thought you knew. Fact 1. The movie tells the story of the 1879 Battle of Rorke's Drift. Only 150 British soldiers faced over 3,000 Zulu warriors. The defenders built barricades of mealie bags and wagons. The Zulus launched wave after wave of attacks. Gunfire and hand-to-hand combat lasted for hours. By the end, 17 British soldiers were dead. More than 350 Zulus lost their lives. The battle shocked the world with its outcome. Survivors described chaos and fear everywhere. The film softened the gore to make it more cinematic. Instead, it focused on the endurance of the defenders. The victory became a symbol of British determination. History gave the film weight and credibility. The event turned into a national legend. Zulu transformed brutal history into cinematic grandeur. It captured the essence of sacrifice and survival. The outcome became immortal on screen. The real story was even darker than the movie suggested. But if history was dramatic, the casting of an unknown actor made things even more surprising. Fact 2.
Now listen up, boy. You're not going to hurt. We need you.
Michael Caine was almost unknown before Zulu. He was cast as Lieutenant Gonville Bromhead. The producers doubted his aristocratic accent. They thought he looked too polished for a soldier. But his audition impressed the director. His charisma convinced them to take the risk. The role changed his life forever. The film made him an international star. Audiences admired his presence and charm. Critics praised his performance as authentic. Yet he nearly lost the role to a bigger name. The studio wanted a more famous actor. Director Enfield fought to keep him in. Caine's blonde hair and height made him stand out. He later called Zulu his first big break. It opened the doors to Hollywood. Without it, his career might not have flourished. The role gave him immortality. But while Caine's star rose, the production nearly collapsed in Africa's harsh conditions. Fact 3.
Stop one! Volley fire present! At 100 yards! Fire!
The movie was filmed on location in KwaZulu-Natal. The terrain was unforgiving for everyone. Days were burning hot, nights freezing cold. Dust storms damaged equipment constantly. Medical help was scarce in remote areas. Crew members suffered fevers and exhaustion. Snakes and scorpions lurked near the camps. Food supplies often ran late. Water shortages made things worse. Storms destroyed sets and caused delays. Cameras broke down from the heat. The crew endured like real soldiers. The hardships gave the film realism. The landscape became another character in the movie. Its authenticity couldn't be faked in studios. The suffering bonded cast and crew. Exhaustion translated into gritty performances. The land almost broke the production. But if nature was hard, working with hundreds of extras brought new chaos. Fact 4. The film used real Zulu tribesmen as extras. Over 700 appeared in the battle scenes. They were recruited from local villages. Most had never acted before. Their discipline amazed the crew. They trained to move in formation for weeks. The Zulu king approved their participation. Their traditional shields and spears were authentic. Chants and war cries came from their own culture. This gave the film cultural depth and truth. Their presence added power to every scene. Critics praised the authenticity they brought. Without them, the film would feel empty. They carried their ancestors' legacy on screen. Their role made the story larger than cinema. They gave dignity to the warriors. Their involvement was vital to success. Their contribution was unforgettable. But their presence also created political controversy that followed the film everywhere. Fact 5.
You're all going to die!
Zulu was filmed during South Africa's apartheid era. Politics made the film highly controversial. Some accused it of glorifying colonialism. Others said it downplayed Zulu bravery. In some countries, it faced censorship. In South Africa, it was embraced as propaganda. Officials claimed it celebrated white superiority. Historians argued it honored both sides. The Zulu king saw it as a tribute. British audiences embraced it as patriotism. American reactions were divided by civil rights debates. Some called it racist, others groundbreaking. Newspapers argued endlessly about its meaning. The controversy boosted its fame. The politics became part of its legend. It turned cinema into argument. The legacy was shaped as much by politics as by art. The debates never fully ended. But if politics caused division, the behind-the-scenes struggles nearly destroyed the movie. Fact 6.
It's turning blue.
Yeah, very pretty, lovely. Which one?
The film was made on a budget of about $2 million. For an epic war movie, this was extremely low. Every explosion had to be reused when possible. Uniforms were shared among extras. Props were recycled between scenes. Clever camera work made the armies look larger. The Zulu extras worked for modest pay and food. Actors accepted reduced salaries. Producers constantly worried about running out of money. Director Enfield found creative solutions. Lighting tricks hid imperfections in sets. Practical effects replaced expensive alternatives. The team stretched every dollar to its limit. The pressure forced innovation at every step. The film's raw look partly came from these struggles. Audiences never realized the financial stress. The low budget became part of its legend. Its grit gave it authenticity. But if the budget was tight, the weapons brought real danger to the set. Fact 7.
Hitch, do your tuning up.
My tuning.
Do it up.
The production used authentic Martini Henry rifles. Many came from military collections. They fired blanks but were still dangerous. The rifles were heavy and difficult to use. Some jammed during shooting. The sound was deafening in battle scenes. Burns from hot barrels were common. Zulu shields and spears were also real. They were carved by local artisans. The spears could injure if misused. Fight choreography was vital to avoid accidents. Still, extras often left with bruises and cuts. The authenticity gave the movie its edge. The weapons became characters in the story. Their danger added intensity to performances. The realism thrilled audiences. It felt like a documentary at times. But with real weapons came an even tougher challenge: the filming schedule itself. Fact 8.
Hold on! Hold on!
Filming lasted for months in South Africa. Days started before sunrise. Nights often dragged on into exhaustion. The heat was relentless in heavy uniforms. Extras waited in the blazing sun for hours. Makeup melted and needed constant repairs. Dust storms ruined cameras. Rain destroyed props and sets. Horses panicked during explosions. Cast members collapsed from fatigue. The Zulu extras showed remarkable patience. Sleep became rare for everyone. Tempers often flared under the pressure. The battle scenes required weeks to finish. The physical toll was immense. Yet the pain translated into realism. Performances carried genuine exhaustion. The relentless schedule almost broke the crew. But beyond exhaustion, the wild African environment added even greater danger. Fact 9. The set was surrounded by African wildlife. Snakes often slithered into tents. Scorpions crawled into boots left outside. Hyenas howled nearby at night. Locals warned of lions roaming the region. Mosquitoes brought the risk of disease. Crew members fell sick with fevers. Insects spoiled food and supplies. A doctor was kept on standby. One extra was bitten by a snake but survived. Cast members learned to check everything daily. Wild encounters slowed filming constantly. Equipment was damaged by pests and weather. The dangers became part of the story. Nature gave the movie authenticity. The land looked alive because it was. The risk shaped unforgettable memories. Survival became as real off-screen as on. But even more difficult than the animals was the emotional weight carried by the actors. Fact 10.
470 Davis, was it, Juno?
No.
Aye, in the throat.
The cast felt enormous responsibility telling this story. They feared misrepresenting history. Michael Caine doubted his accent daily. The heat made performances harder. Battle scenes drained them completely. Some actors broke down privately. Extras' chants sent chills through the set. The line between acting and reality blurred. Crying off set was common after intense days. Sleep was often impossible from stress. Zulu participants also carried ancestral pride. They wanted their people shown with dignity. The cultural weight gave gravity to every scene. The film became more than work, it became a mission. The actors poured real emotion into their roles. The pressure shaped unforgettable performances. Exhaustion turned into cinematic power. Their fears became part of the story's truth. But while actors carried emotion, historians reignited fierce debates about accuracy. Fact 11.
Well, they've got a very good base section, mine. But no top tenors, that's for sure.
From the moment it premiered, historians debated Zulu. Some praised it for showing bravery on both sides. Others accused it of glorifying British imperialism. The film simplified Zulu tactics into endless waves. In truth, their strategies were advanced and organized. Uniforms were not always period accurate. Dialogue was written for modern audiences. Some speeches never happened in reality, yet these choices made the story accessible. Scholars argued over what was lost. For some, it erased the brutality of empire. For others, it balanced both cultures well. The debates reached universities and classrooms. Books and essays re-examined the Anglo-Zulu War. The film shaped how people remembered history. It became both teaching tool and controversy. The blend of fact and fiction gave it longevity. The arguments never fully stopped. But while scholars argued, the soundtrack gave the film unforgettable emotion. Fact 12. The score was composed by John Barry. He was already famous for James Bond music. Barry fused orchestra with tribal rhythms. Zulu chants were woven into the score. Drums created the heartbeat of war. Strings gave moments of grandeur. The soundtrack elevated every battle scene. It made silence feel tense and alive. Barry avoided villainizing the Zulu people. Instead, he gave their chants dignity. The score balanced power with respect. Critics called it haunting and unforgettable. Audiences remembered it long after. The music became a character in itself. It is still studied as one of Barry's great works. The sound bridged cultures through cinema. The score turned visuals into poetry. It gave the film emotional immortality. But if music gave it life, the editing gave it relentless pulse. Fact 13. Editing the battle was a monumental task. Hours of raw footage showed chaos. Editors shaped rhythm from disorder. Sharp cuts made attacks overwhelming. Long shots gave scale to the war. Close-ups revealed human fear. The pacing mirrored exhaustion of soldiers. Even quiet scenes carried dread. The rhythm trapped audiences in battle. There was no escape until the end. Critics praised the editing's intensity. Without it, the movie would collapse. The chaos became cinematic poetry. The cut balanced scale with intimacy. Every frame felt heavy with danger. The film felt relentless yet gripping. The editor's work became part of its legend. The battle came alive through their craft. But beyond editing, the director's vision made Zulu unforgettable. Fact 14. Director Caine Enfield had been blacklisted in Hollywood. The Red Scare forced him into exile. He rebuilt his career in Britain. Zulu became his masterpiece. Enfield demanded authenticity at every turn. He fought for location shooting. He insisted on real Zulu extras. Producers clashed with him often. They wanted more spectacle and less realism. Enfield stayed firm on truth. His empathy came from his own struggles. He understood oppression deeply. This shaped his respect for Zulu warriors. He gave them dignity on screen. Critics later praised his balance. He turned adversity into art. His direction gave the film its soul. Zulu cemented his reputation worldwide. But even with strong leadership, disaster struck when fire nearly ended everything. Fact 15. Late in production, a fire broke out. Strong winds spread it fast across the camp. Tents and props were destroyed quickly. Crews fought flames with buckets. Some reels of film were damaged. Insurance nearly canceled the project. The director feared the worst. Morale collapsed as delays dragged on. Local villagers helped contain the fire. Their aid saved crucial equipment. Cast and crew bonded under the crisis. The fire became part of the film's legend. It nearly erased months of work, yet the project survived against all odds. The scare gave the production new determination. The disaster became another chapter in its myth. It proved the team's resilience. The movie rose from ashes stronger, but after surviving fire, the release would decide its fate worldwide. Fact 16. When Zulu premiered in Britain, it stunned audiences. Critics praised its realism and scale. Word of mouth spread quickly across the country. It became one of the top box office hits of the year. Soon the film was released in Europe. Crowds gathered to see the epic spectacle. In America, reactions were more divided. Some loved its authenticity and scope. Others criticized its political undertones. Despite mixed reviews, it performed strongly overseas. Michael Caine's breakthrough role drew global attention. South Africa's landscapes fascinated audiences everywhere. The Zulu extra's presence gave it unique power. Its reputation grew with every new market. The film quickly became a cultural landmark. It was hailed as one of the greatest war epics. Its theatrical run lasted longer than expected. The release cemented its immortality. But with fame came accusations of propaganda that still haunt its legacy. Fact 17. From the start, critics called Zulu propaganda. They claimed it glorified British soldiers too much. Zulu warriors were said to be sidelined. The release came during the height of global racial tensions. Civil rights struggles in America added weight to debates. Some saw the film as reinforcing white superiority. Others argued it gave respect to both sides. The Zulus were portrayed as brave and disciplined, yet the story focused on British triumph. South Africa's apartheid government used the movie for its own agenda. They promoted it as a symbol of white dominance. This deepened suspicions abroad. Newspapers raged with divided opinions. Was it tribute or propaganda? The label stuck with many viewers. Yet controversy only boosted ticket sales. The arguments became part of its myth. The propaganda shadow never disappeared. But while critics debated politics, its cultural impact grew worldwide. Fact 18. The movie reshaped how people saw the Anglo-Zulu War. For many, it was their first exposure to Rorke's drift. Forgotten soldiers suddenly became legends. The imagery of red coats and Zulu shields became iconic. British audiences embraced it as national pride. South Africans saw their culture on the world stage. The chants and traditions were immortalized on screen. Tourism in KwaZulu-Natal increased after release. Visitors traveled to the real battle site. Museums received renewed interest in the war. Schools added the story to their lessons. Documentaries followed in its wake. Books were written to expand on the history. It became part of popular memory. The film bridged cultures through cinema. Its reach went far beyond theaters. Generations grew up with its version of events. It was more than a movie, it was cultural memory. But beyond culture, its influence on cinema was just as powerful. Fact 19. Zulu became a blueprint for epic filmmaking. Directors studied its battle sequences for decades. The choreography of massive fights was groundbreaking. The use of real extras inspired later war films. Wide shots of marching armies set a new standard. Peter Jackson cited it while making The Lord of the Rings. Ridley Scott admired its authenticity. Editing techniques influenced Saving Private Ryan. Sound design became a model for future war dramas. The balance of spectacle and intimacy impressed filmmakers. It proved battles could feel both epic and personal. Its pacing set new cinematic rules. Music integration shaped future scores. Even fantasy films borrowed its battle style. The film became a textbook for epic cinema. Its DNA lives in blockbusters across genres. It influenced war movies for generations. Its legacy shaped modern storytelling. But its final untold truth lies in the controversy of the medals awarded after Rorke's drift. Fact 20. After the battle, the British awarded 11 Victoria Crosses. It was the highest number ever for one engagement. The sheer figure shocked military observers. Some believed the medals were politically motivated. The British had just suffered defeat at Isanawana. That loss humiliated the empire. Awarding medals restored national pride. Critics argued not all were deserved. Some called it propaganda disguised as honor. Zulu bravery was never recognized officially. The recognition was one-sided and political. The film avoided this controversy completely. It ended with British triumph intact. Yet history tells a murkier tale. The medals remain debated more than a century later. Were they justice or cover-up? The truth depends on perspective. They cast a shadow over victory. And that's when it became clear Zulu wasn't just a movie. It was myth and history colliding.